This video will provide an overview of our business presentation assignment for week 6. So let's go ahead and go into the learning module for week 6. And here you'll find the instructions for the business presentation, which we'll review in this video, along with any of the resources that you need for the week. So our slide deck, our exercise on presentation planning that you should do before you put together your PowerPoint, and then some videos on how to record narration, whether you're using PowerPoint or Google Docs. Here's also where you'll be uploading your presentation when you're done. Let's go ahead and look at the assignment. So it's really just a continuation of the research report that you put together in week 5. This time you are now going to put it in the format of a PowerPoint presentation with an oral summary or a narration or voiceover on the document. You are presenting to the client, and the client will be simulated by a peer group and myself. The components for the assignment are a business presentation with narration or voiceover using PowerPoint, and it should include at least one student-created informational graphic, which you should have already created in your research report, so you can use that. And if you have more than one, great, include as many as you like. But you should also include one additional relevant image, model, or physical object that someone else created. So really, this just spruces up your presentation for more visuals. The time limit is between 5 and 7 minutes. Anything over 7 minutes will get deducted points, and if anything under 5 minutes, you're probably not talking enough. The presentation with narration is due Sunday, July 30th at 11 p.m. And for the remaining parts, they are over the next several weeks, is your peer feedback, which will be due in week 7, where you'll watch 3 other students' presentations and provide feedback on what they can improve on and what they did well. That's due at the end of week 7. And then in week 8, our final week of course, you will write a reflection based on the feedback from your peers on what you can improve on, what you did well, so that you know how to prepare for future presentations. And that's due at the end of week 8. Again, in all of our assignments, there's a checklist that you should be checking against. So it should be deductively organized, meaning your main purpose or idea is upfront and clear, followed by details. You've got an introduction, a body, a conclusion. We've talked about the graphics, and we'll spend more time talking about the reflection later in the course. In terms of effectiveness, you should not be reading a script word for word. You should be talking flexibly and naturally in terms of your presentation based on the content on the slides. You should demonstrate confidence and enthusiasm using effective verbal communication in terms of pace and tone, for instance. Now, because we're doing a voiceover, it's a little bit trickier with the nonverbals, but they are still appropriate in that you should be making eye contact with your screen and using facial expressions and gestures, because the tone can be conveyed through the video as well. For instance, I'm using it right now, and so you can hear the energy in my voice. And then again, self-reflection. And then for the format, again, using the appropriate software. Make sure your slides have key ideas and main points. Not too much text. An appropriate layout and color scheme. So it shouldn't just be a plain white with black text PowerPoint. Avoid large empty spaces. Your font should be at least 18 points or greater. I typically recommend at least 24. Again, you've got your time limit, and then in terms of your self-reflection, it's a one single space page. So I'm going to show you an example of a student presentation. It's not perfect, but I think it's a good start. So this student, for instance, analyzed careers of a financial analyst and an accountant. So you've got your cover page or cover slide, for instance. And here, the first slide is the research question. Now, you can, for the most part, use your outline or organization from your research report and then translate it over into the PowerPoint and just follow that. But you'll need to figure out what works best as you work on the flow of your presentation. Now, one key piece of feedback I would give to this student is there is way too much text on the screen. You can see that there are full sentences, and he ended up simply reading off of the screen, which would not be appropriate. So I would scale back some of the text and know that he's going to use full sentences in his verbal narration. So in breaking up his headers or his sections of the report, he talks about the cost of education, as well as annual salaries for an accountant and a financial analyst, comparing the two. You can see he's also using APA format with the citations at the end so we know where the data came from, strengthening the data from his presentation. Here is an income analysis, so he took the data and then analyzed it using a graphic to convey meaning to the audience. Here's another section which is around job growth, a compare and contrast between the accountant and the financial analyst again. Again, you see there is a bit too much text, so he could have cleaned this up better just to hit the highlights or the main points and use his verbal narration to cover the rest. Again, another student graphic. And then here's the recommendation with a third-party infographic that he included. Now I can see here that the font size is much too small in this particular slide, so again, keep that in mind. And then the last slide is references. So while not a perfect PowerPoint, it was a pretty good one in terms of content and structure. Just think about that when you are creating your own presentation as well. If you've got any questions, please feel free to email me and let me know. Now, when you upload your presentation, as always, you'll upload it into our red links. This is where I can give you your grade for the assignment. But also what I need you to do is to also upload it into the discussion board. So if you go to the left side here and click on discussion boards, you'll see that you've already been assigned to a peer group. I've diversified the groups so that you're all talking about a slightly different topic from one another. So for instance, if you were in peer group 2, you would create the thread for yourself, include your name and the name of your report or your presentation. A quick note, and then go ahead and upload your presentation with narration. Once you click submit, there is now a thread here with the presentation, and so that when your other peer group members go in the subsequent week and they click on it, they can watch the video and provide feedback. So enter feedback here. Okay? And so that way there'll be a nice thread for each student with feedback, and you'll use this for your reflection later on. If you've got any questions on any parts of this assignment, please email at any time. Good luck!